I want to tell you about the night I decided to end my life. Not because it's easy to talk about, but because someone out there needs to hear that the person telling this story, the person who is alive right now, breathing, speaking to you, was once holding a bottle of pills at 3 in the morning, absolutely convinced that the world would be better off without them. I was wrong. And if you're in that dark place right now, you're wrong too. Please, just give me 10 minutes to tell you how I know. My name is Marcus, and 2 years ago I was a ghost. I was walking, talking, going through the motions, but inside I was already dead. Depression didn't just make me sad, it hollowed me out completely. It took everything that made me human and replaced it with this suffocating numbness that felt like drowning in slow motion. Every single day, every single breath. And the worst part? Nobody knew. I was so good at pretending, so good at wearing the mask, that even the people closest to me had no idea I was dying inside. It started so quietly, I didn't even notice at first. I'd wake up and feel this heaviness, like someone had placed a concrete blanket over my chest. Getting out of bed became the hardest thing I'd ever done. And I'm not talking about being tired. I'm talking about lying there at 2 in the afternoon, staring at the ceiling, physically unable to move because the weight of existence itself was crushing me. I'd hear my phone buzz with messages from friends, family, people who cared about me, and I couldn't even lift my hand to respond. Not because I didn't want to, but because I had nothing left to give. I was empty, completely, utterly empty. The depression whispered to me constantly. It told me I was worthless. It told me I was a burden. It told me that everyone in my life would be happier, lighter, freer if I just disappeared. And when you hear something enough times, especially when you're that vulnerable, that broken, you start to believe it. I believed it with every fiber of my being. I looked in the mirror and saw someone who didn't deserve to take up space in this world. Someone whose presence was a weight on everyone around them. Someone whose absence would be a relief. I stopped doing everything that once brought me joy. Music that used to move me became just noise. Food tasted like cardboard. The sun could be shining, birds could be singing, life could be happening all around me, and I felt nothing. Absolutely nothing. It was like watching the world through frosted glass. I could see that life was happening, but I wasn't part of it anymore. I was just existing in this gray, endless void where nothing mattered and nothing would ever matter again. My family noticed something was wrong, but I became a master at deflecting. I'm just stressed about work. I'm just tired. I'm fine, really. Just need some sleep. The lies came so easily because the truth was too terrifying to speak out loud. How do you tell the people who love you that you don't want to exist anymore? How do you explain that you're not suicidal in the dramatic Hollywood way, you just want to stop existing, to fade away like you were never there at all? So I kept lying, kept pretending, kept dying a little more each day while everyone believed I was okay. Then came the night that changed everything. November 14th. I remember it so clearly, it's like it's burned into my soul. I had planned everything. I had written letters to my parents, my sister, my best friend Jake. I sat in my bedroom with those letters arranged neatly on my desk, and I held that bottle of pills, and I felt peace. For the first time in months, maybe years, I felt relief. Because I thought the pain was finally going to stop. I thought I was finally going to be free. I want you to understand something. In that moment, I wasn't trying to hurt anyone. I genuinely believed I was solving a problem. I believed that my depression, my darkness, my brokenness was a burden I was lifting from everyone else. In my mind, this was the most selfless thing I could do. That's how twisted depression makes your thinking. That's how completely it distorts reality. I had the pills in my hand. I had water sitting right there. I had said my silent goodbyes to everyone I loved. And then my phone rang. 3:17 in the morning, and my phone rang. I almost didn't answer. I almost let it go to voicemail because what was the point? But something, and I still don't know what, maybe God, maybe the universe, maybe just dumb luck, made me look at the screen. It was Jake, my best friend since 3rd grade, the guy I'd grown up with, gone to college with, shared everything with, except this one dark secret I'd been carrying. Jake, who never called in the middle of the night. Jake, who I hadn't really talked to in weeks because I'd been pushing everyone away. And he was calling at 3:17 in the morning. I answered. My voice was hollow, dead already. Hello? And Jake, beautiful, intuitive, life-saving Jake, said something that cracked me open. Marcus, I had a dream about you. A bad one. And I woke up terrified. Please tell me you're okay. Please tell me I'm crazy for calling, but I need to hear you say you're okay. I couldn't say it. I tried to say, I'm fine, those automatic words I'd said 1,000 times, but they wouldn't come. Instead, I started crying. Not pretty, quiet crying. Ugly, gut-wrenching sobs that came from somewhere so deep I didn't know it existed. And I told him everything. Everything. The emptiness, the pain, the pills in my hand. All of it just poured out of me. Jake didn't lecture me, didn't tell me to think positive or be grateful for what I have. He just said, I'm coming over. Don't hang up. Keep talking to me. I'm getting in my car right now, and I'm coming to you. And he did. He drove 23 minutes through empty streets at 3 in the morning, staying on the phone with me the entire time, just talking about nothing and everything. About the time we crashed his dad's car senior year. About our terrible high school band. About absolutely anything except what I'd been about to do. When Jake walked through my door and pulled me into a hug, something shifted. Not fixed, depression doesn't work like that, but shifted. Because for the first time in so long, I felt something other than numbness. I felt connection. I felt like maybe, just maybe, my existence mattered to someone. And Jake looked me in the eyes and said, You are my brother, and I need you here. The world needs you here. And I know you can't see it right now, but this isn't forever. This feeling isn't forever. Please, please give me a chance to help you prove that. That night was my rock bottom, but it was also my turning point. Jake stayed with me. He didn't leave my side. And the next morning, he drove me to the emergency room. I was terrified. Terrified of being judged, of being seen as weak, of being locked up somewhere. But the doctor who saw me looked at me with such compassion and said something I'll never forget. Depression is an illness, not a weakness. And just like any other illness, it needs treatment. You wouldn't try to tough out a broken leg or diabetes. This is no different. And asking for help is the bravest thing you can do. I started therapy that week. Real, intensive therapy with a psychologist who specialized in depression. In our first session, I cried for the entire hour, just unleashed years of pain and darkness that I'd been holding inside. And she didn't flinch. She just handed me tissues and said, You've been carrying this alone for so long. You don't have to anymore. We're going to carry it together now. She put me on medication. I was resistant at first. I had this stupid pride about it, like taking antidepressants meant I was broken or weak. But she explained it so perfectly. Your brain has a chemical imbalance. Would you refuse insulin if you were diabetic? Would you refuse medication for high blood pressure? This is healthcare, Marcus. This is you choosing to live. So I started taking the pills. And no, they didn't fix everything overnight. They didn't magically make me happy. But after a few weeks, they lifted the fog just enough that I could start doing the work. The work was hard harder than anything I'd ever done. My therapist taught me about cognitive behavioral therapy, about challenging the negative thoughts that had become my default setting. Every time my brain said, "You're worthless," I had to consciously, actively challenge it with evidence to the contrary. It felt ridiculous at first, fake, like I was lying to myself. But slowly, painfully slowly, those challenges started to stick. I started to see that the voice in my head wasn't telling me the truth. It was telling me depression's lies. I started small. On days when getting out of bed felt impossible, I celebrated just sitting up. On days when showering felt like climbing Everest, I celebrated just washing my face. My therapist called them micro-victories, and at first, I thought it was patronizing. But then I realized those micro-victories were rebuilding my will to live, one tiny piece at a time. Each small thing I accomplished was proof that I could still do things, that I still had some control, that I wasn't completely lost. I started walking, just around my block at first. My therapist said exercise helps with depression, but I wasn't trying to exercise. I was just trying to prove I could leave my house. But there was something about moving my body, about feeling my feet hit the pavement, about seeing the world beyond my bedroom walls, that started to wake something up inside me. So I walked more. Then I started jogging a little. Then I found trails in parks I'd never been to. And with every step, I was running away from the darkness and towards something I couldn't quite name yet. Hope, maybe. Or at least the possibility of hope.